2 days, no water is what the prospects are for many residents in areas around Gauteng. I suppose it's part of what they talk about as the network industries and sort of the supply lines into our economy: water, energy, transport. And I'm linking the three because my next guest is Zolani Matthews, who is the CEO of the Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa, and he would form part of that network in terms of enabling an enabling environment in the economy. He's the first permanent chief executive following the departure of the controversial Lucky Montana in July 2014, I believe it was. Prasa has experienced a fair share of trouble, including irregular expenditure in 2015 to the wasteful expenditure of over 500 million rand. Zolani Matthews joins me now to talk to me a bit more about what has been happening in Prasa. So, Zolani Matthews, thank you for coming through. What I just alluded to is the past. So you are meant to be a new dawn, in a way, at Prasa. You've been in the organization for about 8 months now. Give me a sense of the kind of organization that you found at Prasa. What works, what doesn't work?
Well, thank you, and good afternoon, Mr. Similani, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to appear on the Intel this afternoon. Well, I think I could say that I have found an organization which I think had had its fair share of challenges, a lot of them historic, well-known and well-reported over the period. But I've also found an organization that has got a really good body and a good structure of people who are really committed to seeing Prasa emerge from a period of challenge, difficulty, and are really committed to the rebuilding of the organization to become a sustainable company, a company that fulfills its primary mandate, the provision of commuter rail services to the majority of South Africans who rely on public transport. So it has its own historic, has had its own historic challenges, but at the same time, I think that the overwhelming sense that I have is that it's a group of committed, not only from the board, from the minister, but from the employees and from the colleagues that I found in the organization, who are really, really committed to making sure that the organization can move forward and move past the period where it has faced the challenges that it's had.
What has taken up much of your time? Is it the issues that have to do with, where the rails, are concerned, where it hits the track, or is it more of the backroom issues that have to do with some of the manifestations of the problems we have seen around governance over the years? Yeah. What's been the split there?
Well, I think it's certainly a multiplicity of issues that no 2 days are alike, and it's also it has largely been to take a look at what we have there in terms of our planning and our ability to execute and deliver on projects, to fix systematically our capacity to deliver on the key projects that we need to have in place to make sure that we can function as a business. At the same time, to look at issues around corporate governance, financial accountability, to make sure that we've got a business that's fit for purpose, that we have people in the right positions. A number of positions have been filled by colleagues who have been acting, so to consolidate those positions and make sure that we've got permanent appointees in the critical positions. But in my view, the most important has been to create an environment that moves away from a culture that has said that some of the things could not be done, to one where we say that we can achieve those. We've put in place a program management unit, Isitimela Sabantu, which on a daily basis focuses on tracking progress throughout the organization, but particularly in being able to deliver on the critical projects. So this is, I think, something that doesn't get the kind of attention.
That's important, is it not? Because the project management units are usually where state-owned entities and other entities in the public sphere end up getting us into a whole lot of trouble, because that's where they end up outsourcing to people who pretend to be doing the work and end up paying them a whole lot of money.
Yes.
You are trying to ensure that you do that, within Prasa.
No, absolutely, because I feel that we have got the capability, we've got the talent within Prasa, that we don't need to go outside for a number of the initiatives that were undertaken previously, but in terms of planning, performance and execution, we can do it in-house. And I've identified, I think, some very, very talented young engineers that are in the organization who are leading this initiative on a daily basis. They meet at 8 o'clock every morning to track the progress and to make sure that not just Gauteng, but the regions themselves are involved, so that we are able to actually plan and process everything that we need to accomplish on almost a daily basis and track that progress.
So let's test then if they are able to deliver on some of those key commitments. Last year, President Ramaphosa talking about an upgrade to the infrastructure at Prasa of some 1.4 billion rand. What have you been able to deliver that one can touch and feel that fulfills this undertaking?
Well, the President identified two key projects, the Central Line in the Western Cape and the Mabopane in Gauteng, as presidential priority projects. I'm glad to say that on Mabopane in particular, we're at the point at which we're about to deliver on that project. There's been a huge financial commitment that we've undertaken to make sure that we could deliver on that. The line is virtually ready to be opened. We've experienced some delays in terms of the delivery of transformers and some of the critical equipment that we've needed, in particular as a result of the NUMSA strike recently, and also some of the transformers having to be imported because they're not available locally. So Mabopane we're very excited about. It's going to make a significant impact on making sure that we can provide the services to the commuters who use that line. The Central Line similarly, we've hit a bit of a bottleneck. It was moving quite well, but as you're aware, we have a number of illegal squatters who are occupying the rail track just outside Langa, so we're not able to proceed straight into Cape Town. We've had a court judgment that has been in our favor, but at the same time we have now to identify land to be able to move those squatters to. So that's become a fairly protracted process. But I can say that in terms of being able to deliver on that project, once we have moved the squatters from the line, then we should be able to see the Central Line fully functional. We were trying to target December this year, but it most likely may be early in the new year.
So what's your assessment, given what you've just said around, and these are just two of the lines, and we've not even talked about your mainline passenger service, which is more long distance.
Yes.
But what's your assessment of Prasa's ability to deliver a reliable service over the next 12 months? And I ask you because last month you were quoted as saying that you are not confident that Prasa can at this stage provide a reliable service within this next financial year. Why did you say that?
I said that because we looked at all of the contributory factors that we have to address on an ongoing basis. And with some of the challenges that we faced, in particular in being able to ensure that our procurement and our ability to deliver in some of those areas has put us somewhere back in terms of the timelines. I've just alluded to the challenges we've experienced around Mabopane. That was based upon an assessment of where we were in terms of deliverables for Mabopane. So I look at on a daily basis where we are in terms of achieving targets, how close we are to those. So those assessments can obviously change depending on how fast we're able to accelerate some of that progress that we've initiated. But the general feeling is, in terms of the bigger projects, most of those would start to take place during 2022. So, for example, one of the key projects that we have underway is a signaling project. It's a major project over the next five years. We've now gone to the market on that. That's a project for KwaZulu-Natal. There's another project, the General Overhaul Project, which is to refurbish all of the existing old rolling stock that we have. We hope that will also go to the market by the end of November. So the timing of those also affects our ability to be able to introduce the lines and the corridors on a consistent basis, as well as the work that has to be done on the corridors as a result of the vandalism that we experienced, particularly during the COVID period. So we have to make sure that we have a realistic assessments of what we can achieve, given some of the factors that we have to deal with on an ongoing basis.
We will turn to the situation around the vandalism and the infrastructure, the state of the infrastructure and the implications it has for how much you spend on security, for example. But one last aspect I want to tease out on the various corridors. We've been focusing on the metro rail service. What about the mainline passenger service, the long distance routes? At some point, I mean, there were reports that were saying it pretty much ground to a halt. I think I saw a report that talked about, in terms of passenger numbers, you had dropped by some 90%
Yes.
over the last 10
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
That's a huge market to lose.
No, it is, and it's an important market for us. So we're working towards reintroducing that service. I hope during the December holiday period we would be able to resume that service. One of the key problems that we've had is the procurement of locomotives to be able to provide that service. So we have gone to the market. We're looking to get an additional 7 locomotives so we could reintroduce some form of a limited service of MLPS, but we believe there is a future for the long distance passenger service, because we think it's an important part of Prasa. So we just don't want to just solely concentrate on Metro Rail, which will survive in the future because of the EMU trains that will be rolled out during the course of some this year.
Yeah.
In the Western Cape, we've been granted a permit to operate a limited service during off-peak hours, and we hope to introduce that service as well on the Mabopane line.
So when we talk about this now, your hope that it can pick up and it can be resuscitated, we're talking about what used to be known as Shosholoza Main,
That's
is
correct. The perspective is to get the locomotives and to put the locomotives into service.
All right. I think I will come back to that just one more time, but I do need to take a quick break and then we can continue the conversation. Okay. That's the CEO of Prasa there. That's Zolani Matthews joining me here on the Intel in a wide-ranging conversation about the state of passenger rail in South Africa. That conversation continues in a moment.